The Grand War Hall of Zenera Prime was filled with towering warriors from across the galaxy. The air was thick with tension as leaders of various species gathered around a massive table, discussing the terms of an uneasy peace. The Exari, a species of powerful armored beings, stood at the center of it all. They were the dominant force in this sector, feared for their raw strength and nearly indestructible bodies. Among them stood Commander, a warrior known for her victories in countless battles. She was taller than any human, her body covered in thick natural armor that made even energy. Weapons struggled to penetrate. Beside her, other auxiliary warriors stood with confidence, their sharp eyes scanning the room filled with smaller, weaker species. Then there was Adam, a lone human representative, standing with his arms crossed, listening to the talks with patience. Unlike the Lari, Adam wore a sleek, advanced combat exosuit enhancing his speed, strength, and endurance. The suit was the latest in human military technology, designed to protect soldiers in battle against stronger alien races. Vorin had been watching him for a while, amusement growing in her sharp reptilian eyes. Finally, she spoke, her deep voice echoing through the hall. "Human, why do you hide inside that metal shell?" she asked, a smirk forming on her lips. "Are you so weak that you need armor just to stand among warriors?" The Exari warriors around her chuckled, nodding in agreement. To them, humans were fragile creatures who relied on machines instead of their own bodies. Adam turned his head slowly, meeting Vorin's gaze. His expression remained calm, unreadable. He had seen this attitude before. Many alien species underestimated humans, believing them to be weak because they lacked natural armor, claws, or sheer muscle mass. He let out a small breath and then spoke, his voice steady. "Armor is useful, but it does not make the warrior." Vorin laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "Then prove it, human. Take off your armor, face me without your suit, and show me that your kind is not weak." The hall fell silent. Other alien leaders turned their heads, watching with interest. A challenge had been made, and among warriors, such words could not be ignored. Adam studied Vorin for a moment. He knew the Salari were strong, but strength alone did not win battles. He had spent years training, pushing his body beyond its limits, preparing for the reality that technology could not always be relied upon. With a slow nod, he reached up and pressed a small button on his suit. A soft hissing sound filled the air as the armor disengaged piece by piece, the X's who had detached revealing them underneath. Adam was not the tallest in the room, nor the most muscular, but his body was lean, strong, and disciplined. Scars from past battles marked his skin, telling stories of wars fought without the protection of metal. His eyes, sharp and focused, locked onto Vorin. The Exari warriors blinked in surprise. They had expected a frail creature dependent on his armor, but what stood before them was something else, something they did not fully understand. Vorin's smirk faded, slightly replaced by curiosity. "Interesting," she muttered. "You are braver than I thought, but bravery will not save you in battle." Adam rolled his shoulders, testing his movements without the suit. "Then let's find out." The room erupted in murmurs. The duel had been accepted. Warriors from different species stepped back, forming a circle around them. Some whispered among themselves, betting on how quickly the human would fall. Vorin stepped forward, cracking her knuckles. She was eager to teach this human a lesson. Adam took his stance, calm and steady. He had no illusions about the challenge. Ahead, the Ailer were physically superior, but they weren't unbeatable. The fight was about to begin. And then for the first time, Vorin felt a strange sense of uncertainty. The moment Adam removed his armor, the war hall erupted in laughter. Deep, rumbling chuckles came from the Salari warriors, their massive forms shaking with amusement. Other alien delegates smirked or whispered among themselves, exchanging glances that all carried the same thought: this human had made a foolish mistake. "Commander." Vorin crossed her arms, looking at Adam with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. "This is the warrior humans sent to represent them." She scoffed. "I expected at least some strength under that metal shell." Adam didn't react. He had faced this kind of arrogance before. He knew how aliens saw humans: small, fragile, reliant on machines to survive. Let them laugh. He had nothing to prove with words. One of the Salari warriors, a brute named Razik, grinned at Vorin. "This will not be a fight, it will be entertainment," he said, shaking his head. "Commander, do not break him too quickly. Give the rest of us time to enjoy the show." The other Zari warriors Laughed harder. Adam remained calm, rolling his shoulders and stretching his arms, testing his body. Without the exosuit, he felt lighter. Faster. The suit was useful, but it had limits. Without it, he was free. Voren stepped forward, tilting her head as she studied him. There was something strange about this human. He did not look afraid. Most species that faced the Exari without protection would hesitate, show some sign of fear. But Adam stood firm. Very well. Human, she said, cracking her knuckles, since you are so eager to prove yourself, we will fight now. The warriors in the hall stepped back, forming a wide circle. The floor was made of polished stone, the perfect battlefield. Voren rolled her shoulders, her powerful muscles shifting beneath her armored skin. She was taller than Adam, broader, her natural plating as strong as steel. She did not need weapons. Her body was a weapon. Adam shifted his stance slightly, his feet planted firm, his body loose and ready. He didn't take the traditional boxing or martial arts stances that the Salari might expect. Instead, he stood relaxed, almost casual, but his eyes were sharp, focused, reading every movement. Voren made Ari official, raised his hand. The duel is simple. No weapons, no armor. The fight continues until one fighter yields or is unable to continue. He looked at Adam. Are you certain you wish to do this? Adam nodded once. I am. Voren smirked. Then let's begin again. The official dropped his hand. Voren lunged forward. She moved fast for her size, her armored fist swinging straight for Adam's head. If it connected, the fight would be over in an instant. The strength of Alar warrior could shatter stone, bend metal against unarmored flesh. It would be devastating, but Adam wasn't there at the last moment. He shifted his weight and twisted his body, stepping aside with barely an inch to spare Vin's fist cut through the air. Where his head had been her own momentum, pulling her forward, Adam countered. Instantly, a sharp strike, fast, precise, landed just below her ribs where the armored plating was thinner. Voren felt the impact, a sudden sharp pain that made her eyes widen slightly. She stumbled just for a moment. The laughter in the hall faded. The other Jalari warriors frowned, their amusement replaced with mild confusion that wasn't expected. Voren recovered quickly, shaking off the surprise. Lucky hit, she growled, stepping forward again, more cautious now. It won't happen again. Adam didn't respond. He was watching her, analyzing, waiting. Voren attacked again, her fists a blur of movement. This time, Adam didn't just dodge. He moved with purpose. Each step, each shift of his body was precise, avoiding her powerful strikes with almost unnatural ease. And then in between her attacks, he struck a hit to the joint of her elbow, a quick jab to the side of her neck, a low kick to her knee. Individually, the attacks weren't strong, but they were building up. Voren felt her movement slow slightly, her body reacting to the repeated hits and ways she wasn't used to. The Exiliar warriors watching were no longer laughing. They leaned forward, their expressions shifting from amusement to something else, curiosity. Rossack narrowed his eyes. What is this fighting style? He muttered. He is not matching her strength. He is using her own attacks against her. Voren gritted her teeth. She had been fighting for years, training against the strongest of her kind. She had never faced an opponent who fought like this, who didn't rely on brute force, who moved like water, striking in ways that disrupted her balance. Instead of meeting her power head on enough, she roared. Stepping back and raising her hands, Adam stopped, watching her carefully. She took a deep breath, rolling her shoulders. You are not weak, human, but you have not one. Yet Adam allowed himself the smallest of smiles. I never said I had. The duel was far from over, but for the first time in her life, Voren wasn't sure she would win. The war hall was no longer filled with laughter. The amused smiles of the Alari warriors had faded, replaced by quiet focus. No one had expected this. The human, without his armor, was still standing. More than that, he was fighting back. Voren narrowed her eyes as she circled Adam, her heavy footsteps echoing through the chamber. She had fought count warriors, defeated enemies, twice her size, crushed metal with her bare hands, and yet this unarmored human had avoided her attacks with ease. She refused to accept it. You are fast, she admitted, rolling her shoulders, but speed will not save you forever. Adam tilted his head slightly, his sharp gaze locked onto her every movement. Then come find out, he replied calmly. Voren lunged. She moved with explosive power, closing the distance in a single step. This time she didn't throw a Wide punch, she aimed low, sweeping her leg forward to take Adam's feet out from under him, but Adam reacted instantly. Instead of resisting, he moved with the force of her attack, jumping slightly, and twisting midair, he landed smoothly just out of reach, and before Vorin could recover, he struck a sharp palm strike to the back of her wrist. A quick jab to her shoulder joined a precise kick just below her knee. Each hit was small, not meant to cause real damage, but they disrupted her balance, forcing her to step back. The auxiliary warriors watching shifted uncomfortably. They were used to fights of brute force, of warriors clashing like unstoppable storms, but this was different. The human wasn't fighting to overpower Vorin, he was dismantling her. Piece by piece, Vorin growled in frustration. This was not how the fight was supposed to go. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. Enough of this, she snapped. Instead of charging in again, she changed tactics. She spread her arms, slightly lowering her stance, forcing Adam to come to her. She wouldn't let him keep controlling the pace of the fight. Adam saw the shift. He understood what she was doing, but he also knew something. That seller didn't patience wins fights. He didn't rush in. He didn't take the bait. He simply stood there calm, waiting. Vorin clenched her fists. The waiting game was not something that Salori were used to. They were warriors of action, creatures of strength and dominance. She needed him to move. First, what's wrong, human? She taunted. Are you afraid now? Adam didn't react. His steady breathing, his focused eyes. Nothing changed. Vorin gritted her teeth. Enough waiting. She took a slow step forward, then another. Then Adam moved faster than before. He darted in, stepping to the side as she shifted her weight in one smooth motion. He dodged under her arm and drove his elbow into her ribs, right where her natural armor was weakest. The impact made her stumble. A sharp pain spread through her side. It wasn't serious, but it was real. She had been hit. The sorry warriors exchanged glances. This had never happened before. Vorin inhaled sharply, her pride stinging more than her body. She spun, trying to catch Adam with a backhanded strike, but he had already stepped away. He's not fighting me, he's controlling the fight. The realization struck her like a hammer. Adan was not just fast, he was precise. He was calculating every movement, every dodge, every strike. It was all planned. He was breaking her defenses, little by little, forcing her to make mistakes. Vorin gripped tightened. She wasn't just fighting the human, she was fighting a predator. Her gaze locked onto Adam's, and for the first time since the duel began, she felt something unexpected. Doubt. Adam watched her carefully, reading the SEL shift in her stance. He had seen this before, the moment when an opponent realized that brute strength wasn't enough, that muscle alone wouldn't win the fight. Vorin exhaled slowly, then, to the surprise of the entire war hall, she smiled. You are better than I expected. Human, she admitted, but I am not finished yet. Adam gave a small nod. Good, neither am I. The duel was far from over, and now both warriors knew it would not be decided by strength alone. The war hall was silent. The laughter had long since faded now. Every warrior in the room watched with focused eyes. The duel between the Solari commander and the unarmored human had become something none of them had expected. Vorin rolled her shoulders, shaking off the lingering sting of Adam's precise strikes. She wasn't just fighting the human. She was fighting a warrior who understood battle in a way that unsettled her. Adam stood calmly, his breathing steady, his stance loose, but prepared. He wasn't showing any signs of exhaustion. If anything, he looked sharper than before. Vorin exhaled slowly. You fight differently from others. I have faced. Adam gave a small nod. I know. She tilted her head. You do not match strength with strength. You do not fight with anger or desperation. What is this technique? Adam shifted slightly, never taking his eyes off her control. Vorin narrowed her eyes. She had fought many species before, but humans were still relatively new to the galactic battlefield. She had assumed they were weak, dependent on their machines, but this one fought like he had spent years studying every possible way to defeat an opponent without relying on brute force. She decided it was time to change the rules. With a sudden burst of speed, she lunged forward, not with a punch, but with a FT. She swung her right fist, fully expecting Adam to dodge, but just as he moved, she twisted her body, using the momentum to launch a powerful knee strike toward his ribs. The attack was fast, too fast for the first time in the fight. Adam couldn't fully avoid the hit. He managed to shift slightly, but Voron's knee still connected the impact, sent him skidding back, his feet dragging. Against the polished stone floor, a murmur spread through the watching crowd. The human had finally been hit. Voron straightened, shaking her arms loose. "You are skilled," she admitted, "but even the best can be struck." Adam exhaled, rubbing his side. Briefly, the hit had power. Tsar warriors were naturally strong after all, but pain was nothing new to him. He rolled his shoulders, stepping forward once more. "True," he said, "but the fight isn't over yet." Voron smirked. "No, it is not." She attacked again, pressing her advantage this time. She didn't aim for just one strike. She unleashed a relentless beach of punches and kicks, forcing Adam to move faster, react quicker. She wasn't just fighting with strength now. She was adapting. Adam dodged, parried, and countered when he could. He was still landing his precise strikes, but Voron had learned from the earlier exchanges. She was keeping her movements tighter, making it harder for him to disrupt her balance. The fight had shifted. Now it was not just a battle of strength versus technique, it was a battle of endurance. The warriors watching could feel the tension rising. The duel had gone on far longer than anyone had expected. Both fighters were skilled. Both were determined, but only one would win. Voron growled as she launched another heavy punch, aiming to end it with one final blow. Adam didn't dodge. Instead, he stepped into the attack. The sudden movement threw Voron off. Her punch missed its full impact, and in that split second, Adam moved. His footwork was precise, his body shifted in perfect rhythm, and then he struck a sharp elbow to her exposed side, a quick jab to her throat, not enough to injure, but enough to make her instinctively flinch. A final strike to her knee, forcing her to drop down slightly. In an instant, the battle had turned. Voron gasped as she stumbled, her body reacting to the series of hits. She tried to recover, but Adam was already there before she could react. She felt an iron grip on her wrist, then another on her shoulder, and then with a smooth, practiced motion, Adam flipped her. The great Siri, commander, the warrior feared across the galaxy, found herself lifted off her feet and slammed onto the floor, but Warhol was completely silent. Voron blinked, her body stiff from the impact. She had not expected that. She looked up. Adam stood above her, breathing steady, his stance still perfect. He wasn't even struggling. Slowly, she sat up, placing a hand on the floor. She could still fight, she could push forward, but as she met Adam's gaze, she understood something important. He had won not by breaking her, but by proving that humans without armor, without weapons, were not weak. Voron let out a breath and gave a short nod. "Enough," she said. Adam lowered his hands but remained cautious. "You yield," she smirked. "For today, then." To the shock of every Solari warrior in the room, Voron laughed, a deep, genuine laugh. She stood up and extended her hand. "You have my respect, human." Adam looked at her hand for a moment before shaking it firmly. "And you have mine." The duel was over, but something greater had just begun. The war hall remained silent for a long moment. Every Kalari warrior present had witnessed something unexpected, something they would remember for years to come. The human had won. Adam stood firm, his breathing steady, his stance relaxed, but ready. Voron, the mighty Exari commander, had yielded, but she did not look humiliated. She looked satisfied. She rolled her shoulders as she stepped back, rubbing her side, where Adam's precise strikes had landed. "You fight well, human," she said, her voice filled with newfound respect. "I have faced warriors from many species, but none like you." Adam gave a small nod. "Humans fight differently." Voron let out a deep chuckle. "Yes, I see that now." Around the hall, the Solari warriors exchanged uncertainty glances. They had mocked the human at the start, laughed at his lack of armor, but now there was no laughter, only quiet respect. One of the warriors, Rozek, stepped forward. He was one of the strongest in the room, a fighter who had never believed humans could be a true threat. He studied Adam with sharp eyes. "You are not like the others," he said. "I thought humans were weak without their armor." Adam turned to face him. "Most species think that," he replied simply. Rozek crossed his arms. "Why did you remove your armor? You could have fought with it. You could have used your machines, your technology." Adam looked at his own hands, flexing his fingers slightly. "Because I didn't need it." That answer sent through the crowd. Humans were known for their advanced weapons, their exosuits, their powerful machines. Most species assumed that was their only strength, but this human had fought and won without any of it. Voron smirked. "It was a lesson, wasn't it?" Adam met her gaze. "You wouldn't have believed me if I only told you." Voron let out a short laugh. "No, Wouldn't have she turned to her warriors, who were still watching in stunned silence. You see now, she said, her voice echoing through the hall. Strength is not only a muscle or armor. Strength is in skill and control, in knowing when to strike and when to wait. The warriors looked at each other, considering her words. Then, to Adam's surprise, Rosek stepped forward and placed his fist over his chest, a serried gesture of warriors' respect. You have proven yourself human. He said, you are no ordinary fighter. You are a true warrior. One by one, the other Ziller warriors followed. Each one placed their fist over their chest, acknowledging Adam's victory, not just in battle, but in earning their respect. Adam remained calm, but he understood the weight of this moment. They were proud warriors. For them to recognize a human as an equal was no small thing. Voren stepped closer, her gaze steady. Tell me, human, what is your name? Adam met her eyes. Adam. Voren nodded. Then remember this, Adam. The next time we meet, I will be stronger. I will not make the same mistakes. Adam allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Then I'll have to be better too. Voren grinned. Good, that is how true warriors grow. She turned to the watching warriors. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Never underestimate an opponent. Never assume strength is only a muscle, and never think that armor makes you invincible. The warriors nodded, some still looking at Adam with curiosity. Then Voren faced Adam again. You have earned my respect, and if you ever wish to fight again, I will welcome the challenge. Adam nodded. I'll remember that. With that, the tension in the hall faded. The duel was over, but something more important had been achieved, a bond of respect. The Exari warriors left the hall, speaking quietly among themselves. Some still looked at Adam with disbelief, others with admiration. Voren gave him one last nod before turning and walking away, her steps strong and confident. Adam stood alone for a moment, exhaling slowly. He had come here to prove something, and he had, but deep inside he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with warriors who had never failed a human like him, and now they would start to notice, days passed since the duel, that the echoes of Adam's victory still lingered in that serried stronghold. The warriors who had once laughed at him now spoke his name with curiosity. In respect, some trained harder, trying to understand his techniques. Others simply watched him from a distance, their eyes filled with silent admiration. But Adam did not let the victory slow him down. He trained Eid every day, just as he always had. Strength was not something to be held, it was something to be sharpened. One evening, as he finished his routine, he heard footsteps approaching. He turned to see Voren, standing at the edge of the training ground, arms crossed still preparing for battle. She asked. Adam wiped the sweat from his brow. Always. Voren smirked. Good. She stepped closer, studying him. Many of my warriors have been speaking of you. Some want to fight. You others want to learn from you. You have made an impression, human. Adam shrugged. I wasn't trying to. Voren chuckled. And that is exactly why they respect you. She paused, then her expression turned more serious. There is something I must tell you. Adam raised an eyebrow. What is it? Voren took a breath. Word of our duel has spread beyond the stronghold. The High War Lord has heard of you. Adam's eyes narrowed slightly, and he wishes to test you himself for the first time since the duel. The air between them grew heavy. The High Warlord of the Kelari was not just any warrior. He was the strongest of them all, the one who ruled over their military with absolute dominance. Adam remained silent for a moment, considering the implications. Does he want to fight? He finally asked. Voren nodded. Perhaps, but I do not think it will be like our duel. He is not one to simply test strength. He wants to know if you are a threat or an ally. Adam's side. Let me guess, if he sees me as a threat, things get complicated. Voren smirked. Very. Adam crossed his arms. And if I refuse to meet him? Voren shook her head. That would be worse. The Exari do not respect those who run from a challenge. If you refuse, he will assume you are weak, and weak things do not last long in our part of the galaxy. Adam exhaled. He had expected something like this. He had proven himself in one battle. But the galaxy was vast, and there was always another fight waiting. Where do I need to go? He asked. Ven's expression shifted slightly, almost as if she was pleased by his answer. The High Warlord's warship is stationed in orbit. A transport will take us there tomorrow. Adam tilted his head. Us. Voren grinned. You didn't think I would let you face this alone, did you? Adam gave a small chuckle. You sure you're not just hopping to see me lose? Voren laughed. Maybe, but if you survive, I will owe you another fight. Adam shook his head, but didn't argue he appreciated her presence, even if she would never openly admit she was looking out for him. All right, he said, tomorrow. Then Vorin nodded. Get some rest, human, you will need it. She turned and walked away, leaving Adam alone in the quiet training ground. He looked up at the night sky, where the faint outline of the High Warlord's warship could be seen. The first duel had earned him respect. The next encounter might decide his fate, and once again he would face it without armor, because strength was never about what you wore, it was about who you were. The transport ship hummed as it ascended, breaking through the planet's atmosphere. Adam sat calmly watching the warship grow larger in the viewport. It was massive, easily the size of a city. Its dark metal surface covered in heavy armor and massive weapon turrets. This was not just a ship, it was a fortress in space. Vorin sat across from him, her arms crossed. She had been quiet for most of the flight, but now she finally spoke. This will not be like our fight, human. Adam glanced at her. I figured. Vorin leaned forward slightly. The High Warlord is not just strong, he is a leader, a strategist. He does not fight for pride, he fights with purpose. If he decides you are a threat, you will not leave this ship alive. Adam nodded slowly. Then I better make sure he sees me as something else. Vorin smirked. Let us hope you can. The transport docked with a deep metallic clang, and the doors slid open. See Larry warriors in the hall standing at attention. As Adam and Vorin stepped out, they said nothing, but their glowing eyes followed Adam's every move. He could feel it, the weight of expectation, of judgment. He was an outsider here, a human in a place where respect had to be earned with strength. They were led into a massive chamber. A grand hall lined with banners of past victories. At the center stood a massive figure, taller and broader than even Vorin. His armor was dark, engraved with ancient markings. His eyes burned with intensity. The High Warlord, he studied Adam for a long moment, then spoke in a deep, commanding voice. You are the human warrior. Adam met his gaze. I am the Warlord's expression did not change.